Hello. It's time to start back on Granny Shares the Bible, chapter 21 in Exodus. It says, "Now these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them." What are judgments? Judgments are where we weigh the evidence and find the truth. So God is saying there's things that you might not understand. What you really ought to do about things. And I'm going to give you the judgments. I'm going to show you what the truth is. So verse 2 says, "If thou buy an Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. If he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master hath given him a wife, and she have borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door, or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. If thou buy an Hebrew servant." If you buy a person. Now, these are the judgments. So, at this time, people were owning slaves. People who were their slaves, their servants. And God was trying to judge between the owner and the servant. Sometimes it wasn't at that time that God said, set them all free. He did. He did say that. In the time of Zedekiah in the Old Testament, he told them to set they had bought or traded food for the girls and the boys, and they had become their slaves, and they were Hebrews, and God said, you set them free. And they set them free, and then they brought them back. And so God didn't like that, and the judgment came upon them. And these are the judgments that God was bringing to the people at this time. And at this time, they were used to buying each other, having each other as servants. So he said, if you buy an Hebrew servant, he's going to serve you 6 years, but in the 7th year, he shall go out free for nothing. He's free. A Hebrew servant doesn't have to serve you any longer than 7 years or 6 years. And then the 7th year, he's free. If he came in by himself, so this is talking about if he came in with a woman that he was married to, then both of them are going to be set free. But if the master gave him a wife, which was his servant, and he had children, they were going to stay with the master. And if they stayed with the master, the man had the opportunity to just say, I will not go out free, because he didn't want to leave his wife and his children. Then he could go and get his ear bore with an awl, and which would say he would be his master, would be his servant forever. So that was God's judgment on their particular situation about masters and servants. Verse 7. Now, we are in what's called the law. This is the law. And Moses was the lawgiver. And so Moses often, if you remember Jethro saying, let the others, the judges of tens, judges of thousands, judges of hundreds, all them, let them do the small matters, but you be in charge of the large matters about judging them. But God was giving them a basis on which to judge the different issues. So we went through that issue of having a servant that was of the children of the Hebrews, but the children of Israel. Verse 7 says, "And if a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as the men servants do. If she please not her master, who hath betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be redeemed. To sell her unto a strange nation he shall have no power, seeing he hath dealt deceitfully with her. And if he hath betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. If he take another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. And if he do not these three unto her, then shall she go out free without money." Woo-wee! This is amazing too. Back then, a man could sell his daughter to be a man's wife. I believe there are cultures that still do that. But they call it dowry, which is like buying her sometimes. So, if she pleased not her master, so after he bought her, he decided he didn't want her to be his wife. If he pleased not her master, who hath betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be redeemed. Her daddy can get her back, maybe paying him some money back from what he bought her for, and she can be redeemed if the master doesn't want her for her husband, for her wife, for his wife. I can't get it straight. Anyhow, this is something, isn't it? To sell her unto a strange nation he shall have no power, seeing he hath dealt deceitfully with her. In other words, she is not just a slave. She's not just one of his slaves he can just sell. She is somebody that he owes something to, because he bought her to be his wife. And if he have betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. So whoever it is, if the son doesn't like her, the master still got to treat her like a daughter. If he take him another wife, in other words, they didn't believe in just having one wife. We're learning things about the children of Israel, aren't we? We're learning that they would keep each other as servants. We're learning that they could have more than one wife. What happened in Genesis? Adam and Eve. But then we went on and we found this other man that was one of Cain's children. He had 2 wives. So as time went on, one wife was kind of scrapped, and the men could take them another wife. Now, was that what God wanted? No, it wasn't. But it seems like God is not trying to wipe out everything they're doing, but trying to bring some judgment into the matter and make it as good as they could handle, as they could deal with. So he said, if he take him another wife, God didn't say, don't take you another wife, did he? He said, if he does, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. In other words, don't mistreat her, the first wife. And if he do not these 3 unto her, then shall she go out free without money. If he's going to diminish her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage, if he's going to diminish that, then she can go out free without money. She can go wherever she wants to. These women, they had a hard time, didn't they? Okay, in verse 12 says, he that smiteth a man so that he die shall be surely put to death. Okay, this is capital punishment, and this is the Bible saying thou shalt not kill, and that there is a consequence of killing somebody else. And the consequence is you shall surely be put to death. And if a man lie not in wait, but God deliver him into his hand, then I will appoint thee a place whither he shall flee. But if a man come presumptuously upon his neighbor to slay him with guile, thou shalt take him from mine altar, that he may die. So when a man plans to kill somebody and kills him, it doesn't matter if he goes to God's altar and holds on. God said, you'll take him from mine altar, that he may die. God was serious about them not killing each other. I understand that. I understand it. It ruins everything. When you kill somebody else, you've ruined your whole life that's left. If you're the person that somebody kills, they've taken that one possession that you have, and that's your life. They've taken everything from you. So God was not putting up with them killing each other. Verse 15, and he that smiteth his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. See, these are judgments that go along with the Ten Commandments. Thou shalt not kill, that is. Thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother. But he's saying, he that smiteth his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. Not honoring them, you could probably maybe talk bad to them or not try to take care of them, that kind of thing. But if you get so bad as to hit them, if you hit your mama or you hit your daddy, you're going to be put to death. That's the judgment that God gave. Verse 16, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. You know, I've always, when we talk about being kidnapped, that's stealing a man, or stealing a woman, or stealing a child. Stealing somebody is kidnapping. And before I knew the Bible, before I understood that this was God's judgment, I thought, why would they put somebody to death that kidnapped somebody if they didn't kill them, or if they, held them for ransom and got the ransom and then was arrested and then was tried? Why would the penalty be death if they didn't kill them? But this is what the Bible says. His judgment was, he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, if he kidnaps him. You know, these sex traffickers, they're in big trouble because they're stealing those kids, they're stealing those women, and they're selling them. And he said, he shall surely be put to death. That was God's judgment on that, stealing a person. Verse 17 says, and he that curseth his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. So, not just hitting them, but cursing them, you will be put to death. Oh my. But you know, fathers and mothers, if you're teaching your children to curse, you're teaching them to say awful words, words that are full of hate and disdain. If you teach your children to do that, they'll turn on you with those words. They'll turn on you with them. So maybe the Lord is speaking to the fathers and mothers also in this. Do you want your son to be put to death for cursing you? Do you want your son to be put to death for hitting you? You better be a good mama. You better be a good daddy. You better try to raise your children to love you. So he's really speaking to both, isn't he? He's speaking to both today. If you've got a child that all you can do is aggravate that child and dislike that child and teach that child hate, she'll turn on you, he'll turn on you. And then they're guilty for what you've taught them to do. Now, some parents get it anyhow. Even though they've taught their children love and been fair and been good to them, the children turn on them. We're living in a world where there's a devil, and the devil wants children to turn on their parents. But as parents, let's do the best we can. And leave that to God, because he said, train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he's old, he'll not depart from it. We've got that promise. Okay, and then it says, verse 18, and if men strive together, and one smite another with a stone or with his fist, and he die not, but keepeth his bed, if he rise again and walk abroad upon his staff, then shall he that smote him be quit, only he shall pay for the loss of his time, and shall cause him to be thoroughly healed. So they're striving together, they're fighting, and one of them just takes a rock or his fist and hits him really hard, but he doesn't die, but he's hurt, and he has to go to bed. Then it says, if he rise again and walk abroad upon his staff. In other words, if he's getting well, he's recovering, then the one that smote him's not guilty of anything. They were fighting together. Only he shall pay for the loss of his time, and shall cause him to be thoroughly healed. So this judgment was, you got to take care of him. You got to help him to get back on his feet. You got to help him to get thoroughly healed. And you got to pay for the loss of his time. So God is judging them. He knew they would fight. He knew they did fight. Moses tried to break two of them up fighting. He knew they would. But he was making the man that hurt the other one really bad responsible for him being healed. Amazing, huh? Good judgment? Yes. Okay, I'm going to start in 21 and 20 tomorrow. We'll stop right there. It's very interesting to read through the law and see what God said. Whatever God says is to help us. See you tomorrow.